You are walking through a jungle. It is 50 million years ago. You are small, you are furry, you have a long tail, you are not human. You are not even close to human. You are a primate. You are a small, tree-dwelling primate. You live in the shadow of dinosaurs that have only recently disappeared. You spend your days climbing, leaping, and eating. You eat leaves, you eat insects, you eat the occasional small lizard, but sometimes you find something different. A fruit hanging from a branch. It is soft. It is brightly colored. It smells strange. You do not know what it is. You are cautious, but you are curious. You reach out, you take a bite, and for the first time in your life, you taste something that your brain has never experienced before. Sweetness. Your eyes widen. Your tail flicks. You reach for another bite. Something deep inside you has just woken up, and it will never go back to sleep. Let me ask you something. Why does sweet taste good? Why does sugar trigger a reward response in your brain that is stronger than almost any other natural substance? Why will you choose a piece of chocolate over a piece of broccoli every single time, even though you know the broccoli is better for you? The answer is not about willpower. It is about evolution. Your sweet tooth is not a character flaw. It is a biological inheritance, an adaptation that evolved over 50 million years in a world where sugar was rare, calories were precious, and finding something sweet was the difference between life and death. But here is the problem: that world no longer exists. Your brain is still running software that was written for a jungle that disappeared long ago. And that software is now making you sick. Let us start at the beginning. Taste is not a luxury, it is a survival system. Your tongue is covered with thousands of taste buds, each one packed with receptor cells that detect 5 basic tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Each taste exists for a reason. Bitter warns you of poison. Sour warns you of spoiled food or unripe fruit. Salty tells you that you are getting essential minerals. Umami tells you that you are eating protein. And sweet? Sweet tells you one thing: calories. Sugar is a source of energy. It is the fuel that every cell in your body runs on. When you taste something sweet, your brain releases dopamine. It rewards you for finding a high-energy food source. It tells you, eat more of this. This is good. This will keep you alive. A 2011 study by Dr. Charles Zucker at Columbia University mapped the neural circuitry of sweet taste perception in mice. His team identified the specific receptor, called T1R2T1R3, that detects sweetness on the tongue. When they genetically removed this receptor, the mice could no longer taste sweetness at all. They stopped preferring sugar water over plain water. They could not tell the difference between a ripe strawberry and a piece of cardboard. That is how powerful this receptor is. Without it, sweetness does not exist in your conscious experience. This receptor, T1R2T1R3, is the gateway through which all sweetness enters your brain. And it is ancient. A 2014 study by Dr. Yasuka Toda at Meiji University traced the evolutionary history of the sweet taste receptor across different animal species. Her team found that the sweet taste receptor first appeared in the common ancestor of all jawed vertebrates more than 450 million years ago. That is before animals had lungs, before they had legs, before they had anything we would recognize as a tongue. The ability to taste sweetness is older than almost every other feature of your body. But evolution took a different path for some animals. Cats, being obligate carnivores, have a broken sweet receptor gene. They cannot taste sweetness at all. Your pet cat has no idea what sugar tastes like. But you, descended from fruit-eating primates, have a sweet receptor that is exquisitely sensitive. Let me tell you about the primate revolution. Around 50 million years ago, a group of small, tree-dwelling mammals began to evolve a new way of seeing the world. They developed color vision. Most mammals are colorblind. Dogs see the world in shades of blue and yellow. Cats see a muted palette. Bulls do not actually hate red, they charge at movement. But primates, including your ancestors, evolved the ability to see red. Why? Because red is the color of ripe fruit. A 2016 study by Dr. Amanda Melling at the University of Calgary tested how color vision affects food choice in wild primates. Her team observed howler monkeys in Costa Rica and found that monkeys with better red-green color discrimination were significantly better at selecting ripe fruits over unripe ones. They got more calories per foraging hour. They had higher reproductive success. Color vision evolved because it helped primates find sweet fruit in a green canopy. Think about that. The reason you can see the color red is because your ancestors were fruit eaters. Your eyes evolved to find sugar. Your hands evolved to pluck fruit. Your brain evolved to crave sweetness. Every part of your body was shaped by the pursuit of sugar. Let me now take you to the first sweet thing that ancient humans ever tasted. It was not sugarcane. It was not chocolate. It was honey. Honey is the oldest sweet food in human history. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans have been harvesting honey for at least 40,000 years, and probably much longer. A 2012 study by Dr. Tom Dillahay at Vanderbilt University analyzed residues on ancient stone tools from a site in South America. The tools, dating back 40,000 years, contain traces of beeswax. This is the earliest direct evidence of honey gathering, but indirect evidence goes back much further. Honey was not easy to get. Bees defend their hives aggressively. A single bee sting can be painful. Hundreds of stings can be fatal. Ancient honey gatherers took enormous risks to satisfy their sweet tooth. They climbed trees to reach hives. They used smoke to calm the bees. They endured stings that would send a modern person to the emergency room. Why? Because honey is the most energy-dense natural food on Earth. A single tablespoon of honey contains 64 calories of pure sugar. For a hunter-gatherer living on the edge of starvation, that is a jackpot. It is the difference between having energy to hunt tomorrow and not waking up at all. Think about what honey meant to a people who had never tasted anything sweet before. It was not just food. It was a revelation. It was proof that the world contained hidden treasures, rewards for those brave enough to seek them. That first taste of honey reshaped the human brain. It created a craving that has never gone away. Let me tell you about a tradition that still exists today. In southern Africa, the Hadza people, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies, have a special relationship with a bird called the greater honey guide. This bird leads humans to beehives. The bird wants the wax. The humans want the honey. It is a partnership that has been going on for thousands of years. A 2016 study by Dr. Claire Spottiswoode at the University of Cambridge and Dr. Brian Wood at Stanford University documented this remarkable relationship. When a Hadza hunter hears the honey guide's call, he stops whatever he is doing. He whistles back. The bird responds. The hunter follows the bird, sometimes for more than a kilometer, through thorny bush and open savanna. The bird leads him to a hive hidden in a baobab tree or a rocky crevice. The hunter smokes out the bees, breaks open the hive, and takes the honey. He leaves the wax and the larvae for the bird. Both species benefit. This is not training. This is cooperation. The honey guide and the human have evolved to work together over thousands of years. It is one of the only examples in nature of wild animals cooperating with humans to find food. And it is all because of sweetness. The Hadza call honey the most important food in the world. Let me now take you to New Guinea. Around 10,000 years ago, something revolutionary happened. Humans in New Guinea began cultivating sugarcane. Sugarcane is a grass. It grows wild across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Its stems contain a sweet juice that can be chewed or extracted. The people of New Guinea were the first to figure out that if you plant a piece of sugarcane stem, a new plant grows. They domesticated sugarcane. They turned a wild grass into a crop. And that crop changed the world. From New Guinea, sugarcane spread to India, to China, to the Middle East, to Europe, and eventually to the Americas. Sugarcane is the reason the modern world tastes the way it does. It is also the reason millions of Africans were enslaved and shipped across the Atlantic. The sugar trade was one of the driving forces behind the transatlantic slave trade. Sugarcane plantations in the Caribbean and the Americas required massive amounts of labor. European colonizers turned to enslaved Africans to provide that labor. A 2018 study by Dr. Sidney Mintz at Johns Hopkins University analyzed the role of sugar in the global economy. Mintz traced how sugar, once a luxury for the rich, became a staple of the working-class diet in Europe. By the 19th century, sugar was no longer a spice. It was a necessity, and the demand for it reshaped the world. Let me describe what that meant for the people involved. You are an enslaved person on a sugarcane plantation in Barbados. It is 1750. The sun is brutal. The cane is tall and sharp. You cut it by hand, from dawn until dusk. You are not paid. You are not fed well. You are not allowed to rest. The sugar you produce will be shipped to Europe, where it will be consumed by people who never see your face. Your labor makes their tea sweet, but you never taste that sweetness yourself. A 2017 study by Dr. Daniel B. Woosner at Vanderbilt University showed that by 1830, the average English worker consumed more than 18 pounds of sugar per year. A century earlier, the average was less than 4 pounds. Sugar had transformed from a luxury to a daily necessity, and that transformation was built on the backs of enslaved people. Let me now take you inside your brain. Why is sugar so hard to resist? The answer lies in the dopamine reward pathway. When you eat sugar, your brain releases dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, the same region activated by cocaine, nicotine, and gambling. A 2019 study by Dr. Eric Stice at Stanford University used functional MRI to scan the brains of adolescents while they consumed milkshakes. The results showed that sugar consumption triggered a dopamine release comparable to low doses of addictive drugs. Your brain treats sugar like a drug, not metaphorically, biologically. The same neural circuits light up. This is the same reason people binge-watch Netflix shows until 3 in the morning. Each episode delivers another dopamine hit, and your brain cannot look away. Sugar works the same way. The same neural circuits light up. The same chemical responses occur. The same cravings develop. A 2015 study by Dr. Nicole Avena at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai demonstrated that sugar can produce addiction-like behaviors in rats. The rats that consumed sugar in a binge pattern showed signs of craving, withdrawal, and relapse. They would work harder to get sugar than they would to get cocaine. Let that sink in. Rats prefer sugar over cocaine. A 2017 study by Dr. Alexei Kulikov at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory took this further. His team used computational models to analyze the neural coding of sweetness. They found that the brain sweet sensing system is optimized to detect the most energy-dense foods available. When you taste something extremely sweet, your brain treats it as a once-in-a-lifetime caloric event. It tells you, eat as much as you can. Store the energy. You might not find food like this again. That system worked perfectly when sugar was rare. Now sugar is everywhere, and that system is working against you. Let me take you to the modern world. The average person in the United States consumes about 77 pounds of sugar per year. That is roughly 22 teaspoons per Dalton Yee. The World Health Organization recommends no more than 6 teaspoons per Dalton Yee. You are consuming nearly 4 times the recommended limit. Where does all this sugar come from? It is not just the obvious sources like candy, soda, and desserts. It is hidden in foods you would never suspect. Bread contains sugar. Pasta sauce contains sugar. Yogurt contains sugar. Salad dressing contains sugar. Ketchup contains sugar. Even so-called healthy foods like granola bars and protein shakes are often packed with added sugar. A 2020 study by Dr. Laura Schmidt at the University of California, San Francisco analyzed the sugar content of packaged foods in the United States. Her team found that 74% of packaged foods contain added sugar. You are eating sugar whether you know it or not. Your brain never evolved to handle this amount of sweetness. Think about the last time you scrolled through Instagram and saw a video of a perfectly frosted cake being sliced. Your mouth watered. That is your ancient brain responding to a digital image of sugar. It is like putting jet fuel in a car designed for bicycle tires. Something has to break. A single can of soda contains about 39 grams of sugar, nearly 10 teaspoons. That is more than the entire daily recommended limit in one drink. Your ancestors never encountered a food source that concentrated so much sugar in such a small volume. Your body does not know how to handle it. Your liver cannot process it. Your pancreas cannot regulate it. Your brain cannot stop craving it. The soda industry spends billions of dollars every year making sure you keep drinking, and your ancient sweet tooth makes sure you keep wanting more. Let me tell you what happens when you overload the system. Type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, fatty liver disease, inflammation. The list of health problems linked to excessive sugar consumption is staggering. A 2014 study by Dr. Robert Lustig at the University of California, San Francisco, argued that sugar is a toxin when consumed in high doses, not because of its calories, because of its biochemical effects. Fructose, one of the two molecules that make up table sugar, is metabolized almost entirely in the liver. When you consume large amounts of fructose, the liver becomes overwhelmed. It starts converting the excess fructose into fat. That fat accumulates in the liver, leading to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That fat is also released into the bloodstream, contributing to heart disease and insulin resistance. Lustig's argument is controversial, but the evidence is mounting. A 2018 study by Dr. Nita Faruhi at the University of Cambridge analyzed data from more than 100,000 participants across 17 countries. The study found that high sugar intake was associated with a significantly increased risk of cardiovascular disease and death. The relationship between sugar and disease is not a correlation. It is a causal pathway, and it runs through every cell in your body. Let me now ask you a different question. Can you break the addiction? Can you retrain your brain to stop craving sugar? The answer is yes, but it is not easy. A 2016 study by Dr. Ashley Gerhardt at the University of Michigan developed the Yale Food Addiction Scale, a tool for measuring addictive eating behaviors. Gerhardt's research shows that sugar addiction follows the same patterns as drug addiction: cravings, tolerance, withdrawal, relapse. The same cycle. But the cycle can be broken. When you reduce your sugar intake, your taste buds change. Foods that once tasted normal begin to taste too sweet. Vegetables that once seemed bland begin to taste flavorful. Your brain recalibrates its reward system. The dopamine response to sugar decreases. The cravings fade. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks. A 2019 study by Dr. Monica Das at the University of Michigan demonstrated that fruit flies, which have a remarkably similar reward system to humans, can be desensitized to sugar through prolonged exposure. When the flies were deprived of sugar for a period, their sensitivity to sweetness increased dramatically. They tasted sweetness more intensely. They needed less sugar to feel satisfied. Your brain works the same way. The less sugar you eat, the less sugar you need, the less sugar you need, the less sugar you crave. The less sugar you crave, the easier it becomes to resist. It is a virtuous cycle, and it starts with your next meal. Let me now tell you about the future of sweetness. Scientists are developing new sweeteners that can trigger the sweet taste receptor without the metabolic effects of sugar. Some of these sweeteners come from plants. Stevia, from the leaves of a South American shrub, has been used for centuries by indigenous peoples in Paraguay and Brazil. Monk fruit sweetener. from a small green gourd native to southern China, has been used for hundreds of years. Others come from laboratories. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin have been on the market for decades, but their safety and effectiveness remain controversial. A 2017 study by Dr. Jotham Suez at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel found that artificial sweeteners can alter the gut microbiome, potentially leading to glucose intolerance. The sweet taste without the calories might still confuse your body. It might still trigger insulin release. It might still contribute to metabolic dysfunction. The perfect sweetener does not exist yet, but scientists are working on it. A 2021 study by Dr. R. Kyle Palmer at Geworden Flavor Research identified a new class of sweet taste enhancers that can make sugar taste sweeter without adding calories. If these enhancers work, they could reduce the amount of sugar needed in foods by 50% or more. The story of sweetness is not over. Every time a fruit ripens on a tree, every time a beehive fills with golden honey, every time a sugarcane stalk bends in the wind, the ancient promise is renewed. Sweetness is still a signal. It still means survival, but in a world of artificial abundance, that signal has become noise. The question is whether you can learn to hear it again. The future of sweetness is not about eliminating sugar. It is about reducing it, making the small amount you eat taste like a lot, hacking your sweet tooth without breaking your body. Let me bring this back to you. The next time you reach for a piece of candy, a cookie, a soda, or a slice of cake, pay attention to what is happening inside you. That craving is not a choice. It is a message from 50 million years of evolution. It is your primate ancestor, seeing a ripe fruit in a jungle canopy. It is your honey-gathering ancestor, risking bee stings for a taste of gold. It is your sugarcane, planting ancestor, turning a grass into a global commodity. It is your enslaved ancestor, forced to produce sweetness they would never taste. It is your modern brain, confused by a world of artificial abundance. You are not weak for craving sugar. You are following a program that was written long before you were born. But you are not a prisoner of that program. You can understand it. You can work with it. You can make choices that honor your ancient biology without destroying your modern health. The sweet tooth is not your enemy. It is your inheritance. But every inheritance